Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Saturday, September 6th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Grambling game is today, the game against Michigan in 84 days. If you are planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. All right, we're going to be talking a little bit about that Grambling game and some of the stuff to expect from Ohio State today. I'll let you hear a lot from Ryan Day, some of the stuff we got to hear from him during our last media availability with him in the middle of the week. And we're going to start with a little bit about Grambling, actually. And this is not going to be a deep dive on the third string tight end or anything like that, but more just about the program itself and its history in college football. Of course, legendary head coach Eddie Robinson is one of the big names there. You may remember former Washington Super Bowl MVP quarterback Doug Williams. He went to Grambling and actually was a head coach at Grambling later on. But the program and Eddie Robinson really has a unique place in the sport's history. Ryan Day talked a little bit about how defensive line coach Larry Johnson talked to the team about that.
Larry Johnson just spoke to the team and talked a little bit about, the history at Grambling, spoke about Eddie Robinson and, talked about his experience of listening to Coach Robinson at a clinic. And after that, he realized that he wanted to coach, and the impact that he made on so many people, but also the game of football. And, he and I spoke before practice, and we thought it was good for our guys to understand that Coach Robinson and Grambling, are a big brick in, what is college football now. And the fact that there's, a lot of guys on our field that the game wouldn't be where it is right now without him and without Grambling. So I think it's important for our guys to know what's come before. We talk a lot about tradition at Ohio State, and Grambling has great tradition as well.
The Buckeyes got off to a 1-0 start by knocking off then top-ranked Texas last week, 14-7. And it was not exactly a thing of beauty for the Ohio State offense, but they did get the win. Now the question is, okay, how do you sort of keep growing that offense and really keep growing first-time starting quarterback Julian Sayin? He looked pretty good in the limited stuff he was asked to do. Now, are they looking to challenge him to sort of see more that he can do in the next couple of weeks?
Well, you don't go from 0 to 60, overnight, but, we want to, build that up. And listen, we wanted to be explosive the first game. We didn't quite happen early. We found ourselves backed up, and, the game went in a different direction. But we're always looking to do that. So, we're going to continue to put things on his plate and push the envelope and go from there. So, I think we just had a really good day out here in practice. I'm excited to see how it goes Saturday.
On the defensive side of the ball, Arvell Reese was one of the big stars last week. He was moving around all over the field and making plays wherever he was. What does he bring to the Ohio State defense?
His production in a big game in that spot. He started before, but not like a full-time starter, I guess is the best way to put it, where, our defensive staff, I think, was creative in what they did, but that's Arvell putting it on the field, and his versatility allows us to do different things with him. So great start for him, but he's a guy who practices that way. And I don't think anybody who saw him practice throughout the month of August was surprised with the production that he had. And we're going to continue to need him. He's going to be a big part of our defense this season.
The next question is one where I can tell you what the question was, and then the answer is going to be a much more general thing. But the question was about the right guard rotation and Tegra Shabola and Ethan Onyanwa and whether that rotation was going to continue. Ryan Day didn't really answer that question in particular, but did talk about rotating guys and getting more players opportunities on the field in general.
Well, what we wanted to do in the first game at a lot of positions was play guys who had experience, because there was a lot of guys who weren't experienced playing in the game. We wanted to limit the amount of first-time-ness, if that's a word. So what we want to do moving forward is figure out what's going to be best for our team. So we're going to play a bunch of different guys here over the next couple weeks, and then figure out kind of where we go going into the bye week. But it'll be an opportunity for a lot of guys to get reps and give us some more of an evaluation.
There is obviously a long way to go this season, but it's hard to really imagine a better progression for the Ohio State defense than the one that has played out in the field since the 2020 or 2021 season. till now. I mean, the Kerry Combs years were not great when he was the defensive coordinator. Jim Knowles, 3 years at Ohio State, things just kind of kept getting better under him. And then game one under Matt Patricia, you hold the number one team in the nation to just 7 points, shut them out for the first 56 minutes of the game. That's pretty good. Now, Ohio State has been generally talking about not letting the outside noise in. Now they've got some of the rat poison, the old Nick Saban rat poison, people saying things that are maybe a little too nice about them. So, balancing that, not getting too sucked into getting flattered and getting told, oh, everything is great, everything is perfect. Is Ryan Day just sort of proud, though, when you look back at the progression of the defense over the last 5 years or so?
Well, it's kind of like you said. I mean, if you're not going to listen when it's negative, you can't listen when it's positive. And I think that's what we have to make sure we understand. This was one game, whether we won or lost. And I think I did mention that going into the last game. It's going to give us some feedback on where we are. I think the feedback, gives us a direction to move forward with. That being said, yeah, I mean, in order for us to go reach our goals and win a championship, we're going to have to play great defense. We know that. And every year you learn more and more as a coach. But it's a tribute to our coaches, it's a tribute to the players that they were able to, play like that in the first game after losing, so many players last year. So, it's just a start. We got a lot of work to do, but it's certainly, like I said before, good to work on these things after a win. There's a lot of confidence right now. I think guys are bouncing around pretty good, but. We have to continue to look at the issues, address the issues, and get better. We are in an absolute race to get better, and we're going against the best teams in the country every day at practice. That's the way we look at it. And so, again, it's a great start, but we got a lot of work to do.
Ryan Day was asked earlier about the importance of getting Julian Sayin more reps. How about Lincoln Kienholz? He is, of course, one snap away from being the starter at Ohio State. How important is it to get him reps in the game on Saturday and potentially get him more reps throughout the season just so that he's ready to go if needed?
It'd be great to get a lot of these guys reps. How it plays out, like you said, you don't know. But yeah, the more reps we can get for our guys, the more of an evaluation we can get in the stadium, live evaluations for these guys. And Lincoln would be one of them for sure. He just had a good day of practice again, coming off the field, so that was positive. So yeah, I mean, I think ideally we'd love to do that, but we'll take it one play at a time.
Every year, there are sort of unsung players on the Ohio State team who probably play a bigger role in the team's success than the average fan might think. One of those guys on this year's team is Will Kacmarek, the tight end. He has not put up massive receiving stats by any means, but he has been so good at blocking. That was one of those things that when they first brought him in from Ohio University, there was a lot of talk about, boy, he's really an incredible blocker. And that has really played out on the field. He had an injury last year, missed a bunch of time, but when he has been out on the field, man, oh man, has he been good. So Ryan Day, how important has Will Kacmarek been to have out there, and how valuable has he really been?
Very valuable. And now that he's healthy, it's great to have him there. He's a tough guy. He does a lot of dirty work, and he's somebody that has now played some. And so when you look at him, this is a guy that we're counting on, and you feel like you can count on. And there's a lot of dirty work to be done out there, and he can do it. But he's also really got better as a route runner and a pass catcher. So, I feel like that room has become more and more. That position's become more of a weapon, and that room's become deeper.
And finally, we talked about the quarterback 1. We talked about quarterback 2. Time to talk about QB3. Tavien St. Clair, 5-star recruit, true freshman this year. Is Ryan Day hoping to get him some reps on Saturday? And you're going to hear kind of a quick follow-up from Doug Maurice.
It's hard to. I guess that's hard to kind of talk about because you just got to get the first down and you got to score touchdowns, and we're still dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. And but yeah, ideally we'd love to get a lot of guys reps. Yes, because that's a real way to get feedback. It's a way to it's healthy for the team. So we'll look to do that. In some positions, we'll rotate. At other positions, we'll have to see how the game goes. But in an ideal world, we're trying to get as many of those guys, and he would be one of them.
How's he doing? Just like continuing as a young guy?
Good. He's been mostly getting scout team reps, but we do get some 3 work in there. And so we would try to get him in there as much as we can because, you're 2 snaps away from playing, which, sometimes is sobering. So we got to make sure that he's continuing to develop, which I think he is, by the way. But it'd be nice to get him some game reps.
So there you go. A little bit of a preview of all three quarterbacks you might get to see later on today as the Buckeyes take on Grambling State in the Horseshoe. Kickoff at 3:30. Game on Big Ten Network. We will have a pregame show. The tentative plan is Tony and I will have a live pregame show around halftime of those noon games. So like the Iowa State game, when that game reaches halftime, we'll try and do our live show previewing the game. If the availability report is out, we'll be able to talk about that as well. That should time up pretty well, guessing 1:30-ish or so on that halftime. So make sure you are checking us out. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Make sure you hit that bell as well to get notified when we do those live shows. And of course, after the game, we will have a full instant reaction show talking about what we saw, what we learned, what we heard from the players after the game. That is all at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you after the game.